start? All right. Seems like every week you got a new guy at a new position. How have you kind of laid the groundwork for just making sure people can step in and still have that coherent flow defensively?
Well, again, the same thing. No excuses, no explanations. I know my message, our message, won't ever change. So we coach and prepare every single guy every single week, and when that guy's opportunity comes, he's expected to step up and go play. So every week, seems like quite often, we've been getting it, and guys keep responding and keep doing well. So obviously this week, no different.
How is D. Hall doing in that transition from cornerback to safety? I know he's got several games under his belt now. And what are the biggest improvements that you've seen in him?
Well, Mike, that's the thing. There's a lot of times guys just assume, oh, he's a 12-year veteran. He's 31 years old. There's a huge difference between playing out at corner and then moving inside and playing safety. It's no different than, an outside backer moving to inside backer. It's a different world, So, but I'm proud of him. I think, I think when he was about 80% for a couple weeks, I think the work that he was able to do, before he was 100% back, we let him just go against the offense and play the service team safety, play the other team safety on the look squad. I think those 2 weeks that did that, I think that helped him, obviously, and every week he's getting a little bit better, but it's still, those are things that you want to do in an off season, so a guy gets 10 OTAs and all a training camp. And then when you go into the season, you're like, cool. That's not something that you want to do, midway through the year. But he's been a pro about it. He's been very diligent. He's really worked his butt off and been a true professional. And he's still got a long way to go, but he's making strides every week.
So what was it that prompted you guys to go ahead and suggest or make that move mid-season when it wasn't quite ideal?
Well, I think at the time, Bree, was healthy and playing well. We still had Cully. We had signed Will Blackman, and Will was doing a good job. So just, you always as a coach want to try to get your best guys on the field. And I think that was the biggest motivation is, 23 is coming back. He's almost 100%. How can we get this guy on the field? And we kind of presented it to him, and he welcomed it with open arms and loved it. And I think I've praised him since I've been here. Just as far as a leader and a professional, that's hard for a guy, that's played one spot for 12 years, to all of a sudden, you never know how a guy's going to take it. But he was absolutely 100% professional about it and loved the opportunity. And, he's been great. Like I said, every day is a learning process for him. But he's loving it and attacking it with open arms, and he's been great.
Going back to last Sunday's game, they have the 50-yard pass that sets them up in field goal range, but then you guys kind of stopped them at that point, held them to the long field goal. What were you seeing in that sequence, both on giving up the long play and then how they bounced back after that to kind of hold them out of a better field goal range?
When that ball was in the air, I was like, oh my God, But the thing I showed the guys the sequence. I think there was three big sequences in that game. They deferred to the second half, so they had the last drive before halftime. We lose a big third down, give up an explosion play, end up giving up a touchdown, and that's a huge difference going into that halftime, 14-0 or even 14-3, and it was 14-7. So they had a little momentum, and then start with the ball coming out of the halftime. Since they deferred, I thought it was big by us going 3 and out to start the second half. But then getting into that drive, that 2-minute drive, number 6 and 17 are great players for him. And, it was a shame. We had talked about the route. We knew that was something that they liked. It was a shame that we gave that up. But when I showed the players it on Tuesday when they came in, I used the word resilient after the game. And, a lot of times when that happens in the course of a game, you give up a 50-yard play in a 2-minute at the end of the game. Everyone but no one, starting with back to D. Hall, the play that he made to tackle the guy on the 36-yard line, because if D. Hall doesn't get a great break, if he's loafing and, 17 gets another 6, 7, 8 yards, that's a difference on the field goal. So to finish the play like we did, even though it was, brutal that we gave up a 50-yard hit, but to come back and then go 3 and out and stop them, it was huge, because that, like I said, there's a big difference between kicking a 50-yard field goal in those conditions and kicking a 40-yard field goal. That's the difference between, them missing it and them making it. So, but again, it's just the kind of the makeup of our guys. No one flinches. They just keep playing and keep fighting, and they did, and it worked out for us.
Joe, how does the challenge change this week when you're facing a dual threat quarterback who is really slippery and sometimes hard to find in a crowd,
Yeah.
and 400 yards on the ground? Obviously you face Cam Newton, but he's kind of a different
Sure.
animal there.
Well, shoot, number 5's their third leading rusher, but I think I don't mean to be sarcastic or joke when I'm up here. I mean, it's a true fact. The National Football League, you got challenges every single week. It doesn't matter who you play. Every single week that other team's got guys. They got number 14, they got number 25, they got number 85, they got number 5, who's I think he's thrown 2 picks since week 2 or 3. So he's really been smart with the ball. And when things do break down around him, when the coverage is great and things break down around him, he can stick his foot in the ground and run. So absolutely something from day one that we talk about and we got to be conscious of, because they got weapons all over the place, but especially the guy that handles the ball on every play, he's playing really good football for him right now.
What have you seen from Trent Murphy back-to-back weeks with sacks? Has he turned a corner, or is it just the opportunities were there that had been there, but he's finishing better?
I tell you what, I mean, you guys, I know you see some of the pre-practice stuff, but, I've been around a lot of guys that work hard, but, I mean, you talk about just a lunch pail guy that comes to work every single day and, I mean, works his tail off, really works at his craft. And, I mean, the only thing I can attribute to Mike is just his hard work and his diligence, because he shows up every single day, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's in the film room, obviously the practice field, and working on every aspect of his game, whether it's setting the edge in the run or pass rush, working his hands, working his hips, And when a guy is that diligent and that dedicated to his craft, good things are going to eventually show for him. And he's, that was we called that the trifecta, not only getting a sack, but getting a sack, causing a fumble, and recovering it. So that was a big play for us and a big play in the first half.
What have you thought about Bashaud Breeland's development? It seems like it's accelerated a bit in the second half here, and on the pass that was late in the game that he broke up, that was going to Jeffrey, but he probably should have intercepted it. What do you say to him when he comes to the sideline?
Well, I mean, the first thing I said, hey, dude, I love PBUs, but I really love interceptions, So, but I think it was a great play on his part. It was actually an equally great play by D Gold, with the range that he showed. Would have been great, obviously, to end it right there and get the interception, but you can't take away the fact that Bree went up and made a heck of a play on a guy that's tough to cover down the field on fade balls. So another thing, Bree's just a guy that just loves football, loves working at it, loves working at his craft, and he's getting better every opportunity he gets.